Happy New Year, everyone. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, Sadler, it's January. Why are you uploading a video? And on the rare occasion, if you looked at the title of this video and you're actually watching it right now, you might be asking, a haunted trail in January? What are you talking about? Well, it's always Halloween in my mind, and I love haunted trails, as you might know. So me and Mr. Walmart Pole here, we are going to take you on a little tour of an abandoned haunted trail, and I'll let you see some of the things that they've done and give you some possible inspiration as you plan for your haunted house or haunted trail this year. Stay tuned. So just to give you guys some quick backstory into how I know about this place and why I can be here and how I know about what I'm going to be showing you guys is because I'm actually very good friends with the guy who runs this place or used to run this place, as the haunted trail has actually not been used in a little over 8 years. It's very dilapidated. Everything's kind of out here just rotting, but it's still here and it's still very cool in my opinion. And he actually took me through here and let me see how they were doing, get a little behind the scenes tour of the place. And so that really inspired me when I was little and got me wanting to start working on my haunted houses. And so hopefully it will inspire you guys. So let's start at the beginning. They still even have their signs sitting out here. So here we are at the entrance of the trail. It looks very different than it did years ago. And it's actually so long ago that there's now a whole business built back over there. But this was originally a 2-door entrance, and they had the springs up here, so you could actually just push through. The door's still swinging, but it's about to fall apart, as you can tell. And you would come in right here. So this was actually the first scene of the haunted trail that you would come to. Now this is pretty gone, but I can still tell you about what it was and show you. So there was actually an entire table set up here. That's what that was. This was a whole butcher scene. So they used a lot of that insulation foam and painted it red to look like blood and guts and all that. You'll see some more of that used later on. But really my favorite thing about this section is actually they had built an electric chair, which is what we see right here. I actually just tried picking it up, but it was literally rotting in my hand, so I thought I would show you. So you see, this was the seat, there's the back of it, and this was the electrical part here, which they actually used an old floodlight, industrial floodlight, and screwed it up on top. And this thing looked very cool. And they had a flash cracker inside of it, with a dummy sitting on the chair. Very, very cool effect. Totally homemade. So there's a great idea for you guys, an electric chair. So now that people would walk over to this section, which was actually very strongly clown themed, which is obviously not really here anymore. You still see some of the yellow. They had all these yellow curtains everywhere. So that wall right there that you see connected in the center. So you could either enter here and walk down, or you could go around this corner, and there was this entire tunnel here. The whole roof was made out of bamboo, and there were strobe lights and all these clowns trying to scare you. So I really like the idea of the different directions to go, because it almost made people want to come back. Here's actually one of their old dummies sitting out here. If you can't tell, this is the shirt. It's, I mean, totally rotting, but they didn't look that bad 10 years ago. Here's an example of where they used some of the insulation foam. They would just paint it red, and I guess this guy didn't have a head. So very cool decoration. And then you would walk down here. People would scare you from behind these walls right here. You'd come to this right here, which I thought was just one of the coolest things when I was little. Still think it is. But it's a guillotine. They actually totally made this out of 2x4s and some plywood, and it was functioning. It's since rotted away because it wasn't any treated wood. But as you can see, here's the blade, or what would signify the blade, and they could pull it to the top with this rope, and it would fall down and chop the dude's head off. See if I can find, oh, here's the dummy that was over here. It's hard to tell. There's his head. There's some of that foam there, and he's got like a striped shirt on. So that thing looked like he had his head cut off. Here's some pants, some severed pants. They use a lot of that foam. But this was a very cool effect, and I always wanted to build one of these. I just never was able to incorporate it. There's a lot of things out here to make loud sound, including this barrel. There'd be a guy hitting this barrel with a big metal rod jumping at you. And so we come down here, and this was actually the second time that they used the choice. So you could decide which direction you wanted to go, or a lot of times they would just block it off. So one option was to go this way, and the other was to go this way. And the way they did this was by setting up these ropes. As you see, they would go from here all the way down to there. And these tarps, they would use like curtains. So if they decided they wanted to change the layout of the trail, they would just pull these two and make you go that way or make you go that way. So a very cool effect. As you can see, they still even have the speakers out here on the trees. Another thing for somebody to hit. But we're gonna go this way first, because this was very scary. There's another dummy. They hung by their neck. Anyway, so you would come around this area. That was all blocked off. But you had to walk through this, you had to pull open this door right here. So they built this whole shack. And as you can see there, there was a big piece of metal that a person would hit with a metal rod. But you would come in this door, and there's all these toys hanging from the ceiling. It was very creepy. This has since fallen over, but there was a giant black light. You can see where it was, right there. And it made all this glow in here, and they would just totally fill it with fog. So it was very scary. There's a baby doll. Here's another one of the industrial lights, like we saw on the electrical chair. I don't know what they were using that one for. But they actually used to have a bubble machine out here, which was very cool, because it was like you're in like a kid's area. Oh, haha. So here's a great example of another homemade dummy. This guy used to hang in this big tree. That looks really cool. And this thing is years old. There's even moss growing on it. I kind of uncover it for you here. So there was the head, the body, there's an arm, and you got the two legs coming down. So they built this dummy and wrapped the entire thing in duct tape. So it just looked like a person wrapped in duct tape hanging out of that tree up there. It was very cool. Just a really cheap way to make a very realistic looking dummy, because you don't have to worry about showing features or anything. There's a scary Walmart pole. So this was just a long area where there would be people chasing you and stuff, but it was more of building up suspense from a long walk. There's some things hanging. Very cool effect when it's nighttime, just something to go through. What we're coming to right now was my absolute favorite part of the entire haunted trail, because it was terrifying. The sad thing is that it has since completely fallen down, but I'm still going to tell you about it because it is a genius idea. So right here, they had actually built a giant hallway completely made with OSB walls. As you can see, there's a rotting one right there. OSB doesn't do very well in the weather. You would enter, and this thing was completely filled with fog, and it was very dark, strobe lights, ceiling and hard walls. And you would walk down to about right here and turn right. And right here in this corner, you can actually see, yeah, here it is right here. All this chicken wire. In this corner, a guy with a chainsaw would actually enter the hallway, and he would chase you all the way down this hallway. But right here with this chicken wire, they actually had a car battery, and they attached it with cables, clipped it on this chicken wire there, and he would scrape the chainsaw on the chicken wire, so it would throw sparks everywhere. A very cool effect. I didn't know exactly how they did that, so I've never wanted to attempt it. This whole hallway, a very cool effect, and it had all these doors on the walls. A very kind of Tim Burton Beetlejuice vibe going. And see if I can find any of the doors that are still around to show you. Oh, well, here's one still standing. As you can see, all the walls have just fallen in. But this is not too good of an example, but still looks very cool. They were just painted, and then they put 2x4s around them, and then they had all these doorknobs and locks and stuff to really sell the effect. So they were all fake, but it was very disorienting, and they all glowed in the black light. It was a very cool effect. And definitely, in my opinion, the scariest part of the entire haunted trail. And this was another really cool scene. They had this whole area made to look like a kitchen. So this was the entire table. As you can see, the sink is still sitting back there, but that was up on the table. And there was an entire fridge. And this thing, you see it has like bullet holes in it and all that. The guy actually jumped out of it. As you can see the hole in the back. I don't really know how they managed to do that, but that was a very cool effect. And here's the oven. As you see, it says pig on there. And no joke, they actually went to a butcher and had bought a real pig head. And it was hanging from this tree right here. And this thing was really nasty. And that just honestly made this entire scene a lot more real. There was a guy, you know, cooking, and he was like trying to cook you, and very creepy, very cool effects. Right here, actually, they had all these body parts just from Dollar Tree you could buy, like when they sold the hands and the feet hanging out of the trees. You can see a little bit of the rope left from when they did that. And so you had to push through all the body parts. Very cool effect. More speakers, speaker wire. So here, the chainsaw guy would actually chase you again once you came around the corner, because there's the chicken wire. And this was the whole cemetery scene. So he would chase you into the cemetery, and they had fog with fog cooler, so it stayed on the ground. And you can see the dilapidated picket fence, but they actually had the whole thing wrapped in real fence. And over here was this coffin they had built. A person would jump out of that and run at you. And this is actually the way you would come from if you chose the other direction up there, which I'll show you in a moment. And so right here, if you can see where that board is on that tree, there's actually a very long cable that came straight down the hill and attached over at one of these trees. Oh, here it is. You see it's still up in this tree, coming down right there. There it had this big, really scary decoration of this ghost carrying a body, and they would actually fly down on the cable at your face as you came down here. This was an entire cage that they had built. They actually built it out of bamboo. You can see some of it right there. They had a person stuck in the cage trying to get out, and like a guy acting like a serial killer who was keeping him in the cage. A doghouse with a scary dog decoration. And so this was kind of your finale. So there were people going at you from all sides. And they actually brought a police car and had the police car out here. They had just bought one from the junkyard and made it look like a big crime scene had been taken over and the policeman was dead. It was very cool. But this is where you would exit right here. So now I'm going to show you the middle section of it, and then we'll have seen the entire thing. So here we are back at the area where you would turn, and if they had it closed off, you would come down this way, and I'm going to show you the other direction. You can see the ropes right there for where they had this all with walls. Some tarp left over. But anyway, you would walk here, and there was another big tunnel. There's a head decoration. And this has since almost completely fallen over, as everything else has. But this was all tarped in on the edges. And it had this floor, once again made out of that stuff from grocery stores. But it was all roofed in. And you would walk all the way down this with a lot of loud sound effects and stuff. As you can see, that is actually where one of the speakers was. So it was super loud. They would actually hang a fishing line. And they would tie several pieces on a beam above your head and just let it hang down. And actually, you can't see it at all, but when you walk through it, it feels exactly like you're walking through a big spider web. Because it's very light and it kind of glides across your face. And you can buy super durable stuff so it won't get torn down or anything. But it's a super cool effect. Very cheap to do. And, you know, people hate having spiders on them and walking in spider webs. So you can really make it feel that way very easily. You come through this area. Here's another chicken wire piece where a guy with a chainsaw would make it spark, but you can see it's been here so long it's actually grown into the tree. But you can see here where they would close off the wall if you weren't going this way. And here we are back in the cemetery. So that is everything, guys. Well, if you made it to this point in the video, congratulations, you're a trooper. Hopefully you got a lot of really cool ideas for your haunted trail this year. And like, comment, subscribe, ask me any questions you have about this kind of stuff. I love talking about it. And subscribe to my channel for more tutorials and other haunt tips. And see you guys in the next video.